All right. Hello and welcome everyone to the Golden Glaze Gaming Podcast, the GGG Podcast Holiday Edition. What? Where we're going to be talking about our top 10s, our games of the year. Joining me over here is Phil. Phil, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Paul. How's everything going?
It's going okay. It's a little crazy, as I'm sure you're also experiencing in your life. So just running around a lot.
Excuse my French as I say, the holidays kind of effed.
Really? My
A little effed
Yeah.
as adults.
It's a lot of capitalism that goes into it. Really, a large amount.
Just for the normal hits, to let you know what I've been playing, It has been a lot of Avatar. I have fallen more and more in love with this game. Much like Jake Sully in the original Avatar movie, I am fully submerged in my blue skin and enjoying it more and more every time I play.
Wow. Do you think it could crack our top 10 of the year?
Not a chance. Not a chance, Paul. It's sort of like any port in a storm, except any water in a drought. I'm basically drinking sewer water. No, it's like a nice glass of tap water when you're really thirsty.
Right. Yeah. It's like a Gatorade on a hot day.
It is. What have you been playing?
Honestly, it's mostly been the finals. Like I really love that game. I am addicted to it. It is very satisfying. It's scratching an itch that I have been trying to scratch for a while. It's right here.
Just out of reach.
Yeah, I can't reach it. It's just over there. And it's a competitive shooter itch, but most competitive shooters these days are they're usually battle royales. And I will say, like, the finals definitely has like flavors of being a battle royale, but I really like the ability to respawn and regroup with your team, and that's something that the finals let you do. And I wish games would bring that back instead of sending me back to the main menu. Speaking of which,
you have to be very tactical and very fast in that game.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
And I have some friends who play it, and hopefully we'll get some time to play it as well. But I have to shout out my girlfriend because I made her aware last night that Lego Fortnite exists, and she didn't know that. And she was like, yeah, but it's just Fortnite. And I was like, yeah, it's Fortnite, but it's a whole, you're not actually playing the Battle Royale. It's a whole Lego
other game.
It's a whole Lego game. She was like, what? She's like, well, how much is it? And I was like, well, it's for free. You download it for free. And so she downloaded Fortnite last night. And before she jumped into the Lego business, she played her first match of Fortnite ever. And she won.
Nice. Amazing. That's great.
Which is like crazy. So very proud of her. Very excited.
That's really cool.
I was like sitting behind her like, what? You've never played this
What are you
before?
doing?
You've never played this before.
It's like, I found a gold gun. Let me just see what it does. Oh, I killed somebody. No, it's that's amazing. Lego Fortnite is also great. Like that, between that, Rock Band, and them constantly improving their battle royale, very happy. But
you broke up a little bit there, Phil.
Oh.
So could you repeat yourself?
Yeah, no, Lego Fortnite is great. Between that, the new racing format, the Rock Band, and the battle royale constantly being like upgraded and improved. I feel pretty blessed to have that game. So
yeah, it's the more I see more of Fortnite, the more I'm like, yeah, that's Ready Player One. That's the game. That's the game. All right. So without further ado, we gotta get into our top 10 games of the year. We know most places just do a game of the year. And instead of doing a bunch of different categories, we're just going to do what we think our top 10 games of the year are, starting with number 10 and making our way towards the top. And so we're going to break it down. Me and Phil are going to go back and forth. We're going to come to some determinations. Maybe one of us concedes. Maybe one of us doesn't. Who knows?
Maybe this is what branches the Civil War in the GGG podcast.
Exactly. There it is.
We are the two dueling popes of the Golden Glaze Gaming.
All right. Well, Mr. Dueling Pope, would you let me know what you have, or what would you propose the number 10 game of the year is?
Well, before we get started, so Paul supplied a list of 12 games that we're kind of looking at, and I do want to give a special shout out to number 12, which is Starfield. Doesn't crack the list for me. I do want to just take an opportunity to dunk on the little game that couldn't. But for me, number 10, Final Fantasy 16.
Final Fantasy 16. Okay.
My reasoning being, it's a great RPG, but it's also pretty much the same thing as Final Fantasy X with just some action thrown in there. Yeah. Good game if you like Final Fantasy.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I've heard good things about it. For me, I know that many of the Final Fantasies have been so revered for being spectacular. And this Final Fantasy, all the reviews and from I know one person who's played through it, or played. There's a lot of it, but played a good chunk of it, and they're like, yeah, it's just a final. It's a Final Fantasy game. That's what it is. So yeah. All right. Well, this is going to be really awkward. So I'm glad you did that intro because I have Starfield as my number 10. So, okay, you go. You're ready. You're ready.
No. Tell me why you want Starfield at number 10.
Okay,
because I feel like you played more of this than I did.
So yes, I did, and as you and the listeners know, I have a love-hate relationship with Starfield, but that's just it. It is a love-hate relationship with the game, and there's a reason I love complaining about it so much is because I can see that there are bones. There are bones that are good bones, and that there are things that that's a good idea. You didn't see that through, but it was a good idea. It was a good pitch. And so
what I love about Starfield is it feels a little like you getting handed Todd Howard's homework, and you're like, well, this is an incomplete sentence, but that was good.
Yeah, it's you're rating it on its potential, not
yeah. You're waiting on the Game of the Year edition to launch several times over the next decade.
Yeah, so I guess I'm hoping it gets the Cyberpunk treatment, which it won't. But that is why I had it at number 10.
Okay.
I put too much time into it to not put it at number 10.
Do you have Final Fantasy 16 elsewhere on your list? Will it come back up?
I don't,
because I could give Starfield the 10 spot.
So I do not have Final Fantasy 16. I have it at my 11.
That's interesting.
So
interesting.
It was in between those two. So we were like-minded in that way.
True. So it's okay. I'm trying to think of the right. For me personally, Starfield is more my type of game, but I think it upset me more because I played Final Fantasy 16 for a good 20 to 30 hours, and I was like, this is good. And then I kind of just stopped.
Okay.
For the things it has going for it, incredible boss fights, really incredible.
It's true. Yeah.
And pretty good combat. But you can build your own ship in Starfield, and that is pretty cool.
It is true. It's aggravating, but you can do it. So I'm gonna hold firm. Starfield number 10. So we can agree to disagree.
Well, you know what? I think on the official list, why don't we give Starfield number 10?
Okay. Excellent.
Okay.
That's the only one I'm going to fight, John.
That's all good.
That's easy.
Believe me, I have some wild swings further up. So, okay, I did the last one. Why don't you start off for your number 9 pick?
Number 9, I have Remnant 2. I really was a big fan of Remnant 1. Obviously, I think the story is lacking, but I think its focus on gameplay and how well the cooperative stuff works, I think it's just a good buddy game. However, I do feel similarly to how you were describing Final Fantasy 16 in that I don't know if it's a game for me, but I can respect the crap out of it. So I gave Remnant 2 number 9.
All right. For me, number 9 was... and this might be a little low on my list, but Hogwarts Legacy.
Ooh.
As a game that I feel like kind of didn't do much that was super special, but made me feel like I was at Hogwarts. And you know, amid sort of all the controversy, I guess, over the game, and like it was a fun game that I played and got bored of after finishing it thoroughly.
Sure.
But I think there was like a weird amount of bad feelings around the game, which is strange, but it kind of like, at least for me, that kind of factors in a weird way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear that. Hogwarts Legacy did make my list, and it is higher up on my list. So I'm not gonna go to bat for J.K. Rowling at all.
Yeah,
so that is not
hey,
what
same
this
here.
That's not what this is. I will say I think that some of that got blown out of proportion. Like similarly to like when the newer Battlefront 2 launched, I thought that got blown out of proportion. And I thought the gaming community kind of did a disservice to the game. With Hogwarts Legacy, like one of the like people were complaining about how the goblins looked. Like, they look like this racial stereotype. And it's just like...
That was so alarming to me. Of like, all goblins in all media?
Yeah, because that's how they look in all me. Nobody said that about Baldur's Gate. They looked exactly the same in Baldur's Gate. No offense. Like,
agreed.
I don't think that that's really a valid thing to judge it on. The reason I have it higher on my list is because, and I think I might have talked about this a little bit on the pod, but I was really blown away by the interior exploration of the game. And I really mean that, because I don't think any games actually let you explore the entire map. And I don't mean like, oh, you're outdoors and you can go over to that mountain. I'm talking about when you're indoors, like in that game, any door in that game you can open. There's either a key or something. There's no door that's just a wall. It is a door for a reason that somebody designed. And like that fact alone is the main reason I have it a little bit higher on my list.
We may have to come back around to this one, just because for me, Remnant is substantially higher.
Okay. It is.
Because much like, I'm trying to think of so Remnant 2 has this interesting thing where the first game, like you said, story's pretty weak. The concept of like, oh, it's Dark Souls with guns is pretty fun. But they just kind of double down on that concept in terms of like puzzle solving and mysteries that are like emergent and in the world. And like little bits of dialogue that you have to like, okay, pay attention to that. Now I gotta do this area and do this specific thing to like get really cool gear that kind of transforms the way you play.
Sure.
That it was just a game that, like, much like Monster Hunter World a few years ago, the more time I put into it, the more it would reward me with like, hey, check this out, here's a whole new map. And I was like, how did you do this?
Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, you save a little bit more of that Remnant 2 opinion for your actual rating. I'm gonna write this down that we're gonna come back
to. And
perfect. So when one of those games comes up again, and then at the end of the episode, we'll give our final, like, what is the determination?
Yeah. If we gotta slide some stuff, there's some things here that I haven't played. Yeah. But I just felt like the zeitgeist, so we can slide things around.
Sure. All right. Number 8. You're on it. Number 8.
Numero ocho. For me, I've only played like minutes of this game. Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Pretty great game from what I understand. And just everything I've seen about it is like, wow, they are really kind of transforming what it means to be a 2D Mario game. So that's why it's up there for me.
Sure. So I have Street Fighter 6.
Oh, okay.
As my number 8. I'm more of a Mortal Kombat guy myself. I didn't feel that this Mortal Kombat this year was that good. But Street Fighter 6 was far and away the best fighting game that came out this year. And so that's why I gave it a respectable number 8. I have Super Mario on my list, but higher.
Okay, higher. Interesting.
So yeah. How we feel? Are we feeling strongly about that one? Because I'll be honest, I don't feel strongly about Street Fighter or Remnant. My 8 or my 9 right here.
I could slot in Street Fighter for 8 and see where you're talking about it going, or where you're talking about Mario going higher. Street Fighter being 8 because again, I haven't played Street Fighter, but I listened to so much about Street Fighter as the sort of weird gaming news pervert that I am, that I really like this sort of trend in fighting games to teach you not how to just like survive in a fighting game, but how to be good at it. And Street Fighter seemed to find a really good method for doing that and attaching a story to it, which is pretty cool.
Right on. Okay.
Yeah.
So are we Street Fighter number 8, or do you want to?
Yeah. Let's slide it on. If we need to move it,
All right.
we can. But I feel pretty good.
I'm just gonna write all these down. I'm gonna
Okay.
write all of them down, so we can do our best. All right. So number 7 for me, I've got Dave the Diver.
Hey, oh! First dual hit of the week.
There we go.
That's it, Dave the Diver. Just based on like your explanation of the game, everything I've seen about the game, I'm like, this deserves to be on the list.
It is,
no doubt.
It is far and away one of the best indie games I've played, I would say, over the last 2 years. Like, there's so many different elements to it. You know, people who like Stardew Valley, people who like story games, you'll have all those farming elements. You'll have like the restaurant elements in there. And then you'll also have the fun gameplay of diving, which is kind of original to itself. And so it does one original, really core thing, and then it does everything else around it really well. And the pixel art is so good. It's really good.
I've heard that the diving is similar to Subnautica, but in 2D, which
Yeah.
is like, all right, I'm in.
Yeah. It's Metroid Subnautica diving, you know. So it's
Perfect.
It's a really good game. It's very satisfying, and like I would say the worst thing about it is that it keeps moving. It's like if you finish an objective, it's like, all right, have the next one. Get the next story beat. Go for it. Like, you don't have to wait. You can just do it now. So
That's pretty cool.
love it. And my girlfriend loves it as well. Happy with number 7. Absolutely.
All right. Okay. Number 6 then, coming from my side, Jedi Survivor. I think in a year of a really great sort of action adventure games, and like Final Fantasy X, for example, had what I think was some of the best boss fights that I got to. Jedi Survivor also had some incredible, like sort of prescripted or cinematic gameplay moments and boss fights. Specifically, the Wind Temple boss fight. Can't be topped.
I love that game so much. This is embarrassing. I forgot to put Jedi Survivor on the list. and I want it on the list is the thing.
Yeah.
I want it on the list.
I thought that I was like, okay, maybe Paul's got this higher is my thought. But
Yeah, I would have it higher. Oh man, I'm gonna have to bump something. It's probably gonna be Starfield.
Good. Let the hate flow through you. Do it. Now,
Oh man.
what did you have for number 6 currently?
Okay, we'll do a trade. We have a trade, ladies and gentlemen, on the draft floor. Okay, so I had Hogwarts as number 6. Hogwarts Legacy is number 6.
Okay.
You had that at number 9.
Number 9, yeah.
I'll do Jedi Survivor at number 6. Hogwarts number 9. Does that sound good?
That's not well. Okay.
I mean,
All right. Okay.
I would prefer. I'd like Hogwarts like maybe 8, but then we got to do some shuffling, man. Like
Well, we could still shuffle the 8 spot. I feel like we're kind of in. Let's knock out a few more of these. But as it sits, that puts Jedi Survivor at number 6.
Yes.
Dave the Diver at 7. 8 is question marks currently. And 10 is Starfield.
Yes.
Okay. I feel okay with that for right now as we climb our way up the Game of the Year list.
But now we're down to the top 5. In the top 5, these are going to be some usual suspects. Like
things get serious, things get competitive.
Yeah. So
things get a little sexy, if you know what I mean.
Oh my god. All right. Well, starting off with the sexiest, for number 5, I had Super Mario. At number 5. You know, I'm not a huge Mario fan, but something I can always appreciate is really cool level design. And Mario always brings it. You know, there's a lot of 2D platformers out there. And I feel like this Mario was pretty good. And again, it's not really my cup of tea. I've seen lots of other Marios like this, but again, that level design, the design factor is just pristine. So it earns the number 5 spot for me.
For me, and this is something that I have not yet played, but similarly has a musical element in it. Alan Wake 2 is my number 5 spot, just because it's something that I'm like, I haven't played it, but I know it deserves to be on the top 5 in my opinion.
Okay.
But I think both of those both kind of work. But I'm sure you probably have Alan Wake a little higher on your list. But
just a smidge. Just a smidge.
Just a smidge.
I mean, with Alan Wake, like I put Alan Wake at 4, so right above it. But that's just a genre thing for me. I'm not really a scary game guy, but I'm more of a scary game guy than I am a Mario guy. And so its focus on story and narrative and everything like that just made me want to put it just a little bit higher at number 4. So what do you have at number 4?
At number 4, we have a reoccurring Remnant 2. So this one was so good for me that I feel like I had to put it in the top 5. Which I feel like is going to throw things off for kind of a lot of us.
No, we just have to trade.
Just got to trade something. But before we get to trade, should we keep going?
Yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep it going, and then we'll solidify the list. All right. So at number 4, I had Alan Wake. You had Remnant 2. At number 3, do you want to say it at the same time?
All right. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Hey. Honestly, 2 hits out of 10 of this, like the same exact listing. Pretty damn good.
It is pretty good. It is pretty good.
Yeah.
I think we feel similarly about this game, which is why we put it at both at number 3.
Yeah, I think it's, I guess to speak clearly to it, in case people haven't heard us talk about this, technically, very fun, impressive game. Also kind of weird that it used the same map and is the same game with just a new feature as the last one.
Yeah.
Still cool.
all the building was cool, all the robots and stuff like that. So they definitely added a lot of new gameplay. But yeah, massive game to get through and to really do everything. It demands so much time. So I think it was still a really great game, but it just didn't slap like the first one did.
Yeah. And I think it scratches a lot of really, like, the game is kind of designed to, like, hey, get more powerful. At the beginning of the game, you have all this power, it gets taken away. So you're, like, hunting for stuff, hunting for better equipment, hunting for hearts, and then you get all of them before you finish the game, and you're like, all right, and just kind of saunter off.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2.
I mean, we got
Paul.
I feel like we got to say number 1. You know, like you can't say number 2 without revealing number 1.
That's a good point. Well, do people know exactly what our list is on our list?
Well, there's only.
I mean, you and I will know.
Come on. Anybody who knows anything about video games knows that there's only 2 video games left. Like
there's 2. That's true. Okay, so let's do number 1. Let's do number
1. Okay, at the same time.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Ready? On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Spider-Man 2. yeah. That of course puts the illustrious Baldur's Gate 3 in the second spot,
it does.
Which I have feelings about. Mostly being,
I'm sure the internet's gonna have feelings about it.
Yeah,
because Baldur's Gate won everything.
Baldur's Gate won everything, rightfully so. It deserved a lot of the praise, like the way that the company Larian interacted with its audience, and the way they had an alpha that was like constantly being added to and continuing the hype train for this game. Excellent. The game comes out, blows everything out of the water. I didn't feel a drive to like finish it. I have finished it, but I had to take long breaks because there's just so much game in that game.
Yeah.
And that's not to say like Monster Hunter World is a game, the first game that said there's so much game in that game because you play something and you're doing stuff and you just discovered more and more and more after you feel like the game should have ended. This one is just a big, long story where you're doing fun and interesting thing the whole time, but it also just gets exhausting because you are kind of doing the same thing the whole time.
So that was the factor that kept it from being number one for you.
For me, yeah.
Okay. I mean, time commitment is huge, but I will say, like, so many of these games require such a like think about some of the games we talked about. Like Final Fantasy takes up so much time. Starfield for me took up so much time. Legend of Zelda.
Hogwarts Legacy was like 40 hours that I definitely like sunk in it. Yeah, true.
Yeah. So that's not much. I mean, it's kind of a factor for me. The bigger thing for Baldur's Gate was the gameplay, specifically the combat gameplay. I think, look, the fact that you can go down so many different tracks and essentially like really to the best of video games ever done, play a D&D campaign. That is incredible. But I think that there has been some oversight with reviewers where they've been like, well, every nerd plays D&D, right? And they know how D&D works, right? And to me, there is still some things lacking as far as like onboarding and just the flow of combat and how things work. And like, don't get me wrong, if you're like really well versed in that, you can probably do anything that you possibly want to within that space. But there had to be a deciding thing, and that was the thing that kept me from putting it as my game of the year. So
That's totally fair.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's, great game. However, I remember the hype for me playing Spider-Man 2 and like the drive to continue to play Spider-Man 2. I was just talking about this over dinner with a friend about like the segment in that game when Harry is at your house, he is Venom, and he's sort of like talking to Mary Jane, and you don't know what's going to happen, and you're Spider-Man swinging over, and you could fast travel. You could totally fast travel. Yeah. But for me, like, I had to do this mad dash swing to get across the city, cross over the water, and get there as quickly as possible because I had to know what was going to happen to Mary Jane. I had to know what Harry wanted, and it just felt so dangerous and alive. Like, yeah.
Absolutely. Like people say that Spider-Man 2 was very short. And like, while it was not a long game, I think that a reason so many people felt it was so short is because the campaign had momentum. Like you wanted to see what happened next, and you were able to do that thing, or like they streamlined the side quests so much, so the game wasn't really about doing side quests. It's like, well, you can do some if you want, but like the momentum,
they all fit into the narrative so well.
Exactly, and so the momentum that the game had, like I think makes up for the like the chunkiness of a campaign. And the only critique I really have for Spider-Man is that I wish that there was some content after you beat the campaign where you could be like, all right, here's these new bases you have to go do now that you have all your spider powers, and you don't have to worry about anything, you just go have fun.
Try these like harder levels harder arenas.
And I think also, to Spider-Man's credit, like I think you were so panicked about going to check up on Mary Jane because the first game had established that there are actual consequences in this game where people die. And in Spider-Man 2, not to get too spoilery, but there are several characters that die in this game. Several. Yeah. And so unlike the average superhero experience, there's weight and there's gravity, there's consequences. So I was a little back and forth whether I'd put this as my game of the year. I know that there's kind of this divide in the gaming community right now where they're like, well, the casuals are voting for Spider-Man and well, everybody else likes Baldur's Gate because Baldur's Gate's where the real gamers are. And it's like, let's not do that. They are both good games, guys. They're both good games.
Like Insomniac as a developer, I know we're not talking about news, but they just underwent like a pretty huge leak
Yeah.
Which is like so much info has come out that I feel like still weird talking about. However, everything they've put out up until this point, especially over the last like 5 to 10 years, has been so good that they're just one of the developers I inherently trust. I'm like, do whatever you got to do, and I really love the direction they've taken Spider-Man and all the like. They just have so much love for that character. It's almost like watching Into the Spider-Verse in terms of, wow, they get this character, they love this character, and watching them tell a story about it.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, okay, let's
solidify the list. So we know the top 3. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
feels good.
We got that. So number 4 is our first mishap. So I had Alan Wake. You had
Remnant 2.
You had Remnant 2.
Yeah.
And you had, what did you have for number 5? You had Alan Wake for number 5.
I had Alan Wake. What did you have for number 5? Wonder?
Yes. I'll tell you what. I'll give you Remnant 2 at 4 if you can give me Jedi Survivor at 5.
Oh. Okay.
What do you think of that?
Okay, I feel weird about that, only that I feel like maybe Alan Wake should be 4. Jedi Survivor comes up to 5. What do we have at 6? Do we have a what did you have at 6?
I had Hogwarts, but I can put that lower.
Hogwarts. If I could do Remnant at 6 for Alan Wake and Jedi both moving up 1.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So Alan Wake is 4.
Mm-hmm.
Jedi is 5. And then 6 is Remnant 2.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So number 7, we both had Dave the Diver.
Excellent choices.
All right. So that would mean that number 8 would probably be Super Mario.
Could be. Or we could do Legacy, because I know neither of us played Super Mario, right?
I have a friend who's played it, who's talked to me about it, but I have not personally played Super Mario.
I mean, could Hogwarts be there?
I mean, I would like it there. Yes, I would.
Let's do that, because I feel more inclined to like. Okay. This is our game of the year list.
Yeah. Let's take ownership.
Games we played. Yeah.
All right. So we got Spider-Man 2, Baldur's Gate, Tears of the Kingdom. We got Alan Wake, Jedi Survivor, Remnant 2, Dave the Diver, Hogwarts Legacy. Then number 9. What's number 9? Because we had Remnant 2 and Hogwarts Legacy. So that would be Mario as number 9.
I think that sounds fair. Like a game that we hopefully will both play.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Mario. It feels enough also in the zeitgeist.
Sure. And then number 10, we have Starfield, but I can be talked out of that if we really want to cram something else in there.
Here's the thing. I had Final Fantasy 16, which I don't feel strongly enough. Like, at least Starfield created a discussion.
This is the best compliment you've given that game. You're like, well, it was interesting.
It's interesting. Again, not a complete sentence, Todd, but good work.
I could see what you were going for, and that's what matters.
Once I fill it out in my head, I think this is a good paper. But you did just write 2 sentences.
So we're bumping Street Fighter 6 then.
I'm kind of okay with that. I mean, I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I'd put it. The only place I have for it is number 10. That's the only room. So, like, I obviously preferred Starfield because I just didn't really grow up a Street Fighter guy. But I can, respect for Street Fighter fans out there. I get that it's a good game. So,
true. But out of the two of us, we've only played Starfield.
So Starfield it is.
Starfield, I think it has to be. I would like to say it was Street Fighter, but I did not have the foresight to purchase that game and play it. And I also still don't think I will unless it drops to like $30.
There it is. That's the real Street Fighter price.
The real Street Fighter.
Yeah.
The iron price. No, it's just It's strange. Like you, for fighting games, it's either like Smash or Mortal Kombat. Like I think you and I have that in common in terms of like Western fighting games, or not Western even, but yeah. And I don't know. Like I did get a good 10 to 15 hours of pure joy out of Starfield.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you got those, even though your companions made fun of you for not being able to jump, but whatever.
Very rude of them.
All right. So with that, our list officially is let's go from 10 to 1. So we have Starfield at number 10.
Good job, Todd. Good job, Todd.
Mario at number 9.
It's a me.
For number 8.
I'm going to do this for everyone.
Hogwarts Legacy.
Avada Kedavra, baby.
Dave the Diver.
I'm going deep on this one. Let's
Remnant 2.
Shoot those demons, boys. Okay, I'm running out of stuff.
Jedi Survivor. You got a Star Wars quote in you somewhere.
Use the Force, Cal.
Alan Wake.
I wrote a book and then I killed somebody. I'm not sure.
I'm trying to figure it out. That's the game. At number 3, we got Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Look at this thing I built. It explodes itself.
And number 2, Baldur's Gate 3.
Everyone hated that. That's more of a Telltale thing, but it does happen in Baldur's Gate.
Okay. Yeah. And our game of the year for the GGG podcast is Spider-Man 2.
Brought to us on the back of Miles' new suit.
Yes. Couldn't have made that game without his new suit. All right. Well, that is our list. I'm sure there will be some controversy. Let us know about it in the comments. Thank you for joining us for our Christmas episode. We're probably going to be out for the next couple of weeks, but we will be back in January with things return back to normal. But to everybody out there, happy holidays, and happy Toyotathon.
Oh, I forgot that's happening.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know if your family celebrates, but yeah.
I have to contact my local Camry dealership.
My God.
And celebrate properly.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, we got to call it quick, but thank you for joining me here, Phil, and I'll see you in the new year.
See you in the new year, bud.
All right. Peace out. Happy Games of the Years, people.
Enjoy, everybody.